Good morning, fellow Ghanaians. Last week, a spectacle played out in Accra that went beyond the fate of one man and went straight to the heart of our republic and its future. This story is that of one of our most popular musicians, Shatta Wale, was invited by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, to answer questions surrounding his alleged acquisition of a luxury Lamborghini Urus. According to investigators, this particular car is caught up in an international criminal investigation. The original buyer has already been jailed in the United States for a multi-million-dollar fraud. And so the Ghanaian authorities, acting on the request and in line within the law, moved to seize the vehicle and interrogate anyone connected with the purchase. There is nothing unusual about this. State institutions have a mandate to pursue assets suspected of being linked to criminal enterprises. EOCO just did its work. Shatawali was detained briefly and then granted bail. This is exactly how due process is supposed to function. Nobody's above the law, not me, not you, not parliamentarians, and not musicians. But what happened next is where our national conscience must focus. Almost immediately after his detention, hundreds of his supporters gathered outside EOCO offices, chanting, screaming, blocking roads, and essentially demanding that their idol be released. They were not protesting a violation of his rights in court. They were not offering legal evidence. They were not advancing the cause of justice. For me, they were obstructing a lawful investigation and intimidating a state institution as though mob numbers should determine guilt or innocence in a constitutional republic like ours. Fellow Ghanaians, this is dangerous and very dangerous. It is dangerous because it undermines the very principle that protects all of us, that justice is determined in courtrooms, not on the streets. It is dangerous because it tells the powerful and the popular in society that when they are called to account, all they need to do is to unleash their supporters, drown out reason, block roads, and silence the state. It's dangerous because it turns citizens into tribes of influence and influence into immunity. Let's be very clear, fellow Ghanaians. Citizens have the right to protest. It is enshrined in our constitution. When governments abuse rights, when state institutions act arbitrarily, citizens must rise, they must speak up, they must march, and they must resist. But that is a right. It is not a weapon to shield individuals from legitimate accountability. It is not a get-out-of-jail-free card for celebrities or politicians. It is not meant for one man's court case. It is meant for the protection of democracy itself. And yet, time and again, we've seen this same theater play out. Not long ago, supporters of the opposition NPP stormed the same EOCO offices when the Ashanti Regional Chairman, Bernard Mchibosi was detained. They came out in their numbers, led even by members of parliament. They demanded his release. I was there. The police looked on. There were no arrests. There were no consequences. In that moment, what we seemed to tell this entire country was that institutions can be bullied into silence if the crowd is big enough or loud enough or politically powerful enough. So, is it any surprise then that musicians and their fans now follow the same playbook? For me, no. If the political class can do it without shame and without consequence, why not others? The culture of mob defense is the enemy of rule of law. It is the reason why in this country, prosecutions have been collapsing, evidence disappearing, and trials dragging on for years without conclusion. And powerful men and women always walking free, because at every turn, the process is contaminated. Not always in a courtroom, but outside of it sometimes, by mobs, by pressure, and by spectacle. We cannot build a credible republic on such a weak foundation. And this is the irony, ladies and gentlemen. In the end, it does not even protect the very people it seeks to defend. Fellow Ghanaians, if you truly love Shatta Wale, if you truly love your political leader, if you truly love anyone caught up in the machinery of justice, the best gift you can give them is not mob justice outside EOCO. The best gift you can give them is a fair trial in a fair court where they can clear their name with dignity. Because mobs may free a man today, but they cannot wash away the suspicion. They cannot restore reputation. They cannot rewrite history. Only truth, proved in the light of justice, can do that. Fellow Ghanaians, the Shatta Wale spectacle was a mirror held up to our society. It told us who we have become, a people quick to defend personality, but slow to defend principles. A people who will flood the streets to free one man, but will not march to demand jobs for millions of unemployed youth. A people who will block roads to protect a Lamborghini, but not block roads to demand safe highways that are killing us on a daily. A people who can organize in hours and shout out for a celebrity, but cannot organize in years to demand clean water, functioning hospitals, or a justice systems that works for the poor as well as the rich. We must ask ourselves, what kind of citizens are we becoming? What kind of republic are we building? And to Shatta Wale himself and his management, this must be said, but with respect and with clarity. Your influence is extraordinary. Few individuals in this nation can mobilize crowds the way you can. Few have the reach you have across generations, across neighborhoods, across social classes. Your voice carries weight, your words echo, and your songs inspire. But influence is a responsibility, not a privilege. Influence can build or destroy. Influence can uplift or undermine. When your supporters gather to intimidate the law, they are doing it in your name, under your shadow, with your blessing, whether you give it explicitly or not. That is power, and power ungoverned by responsibility becomes poison. Imagine if you and your management told your supporters that let justice take its course. I will clear my name because I'm innocent. Imagine you told them that. Imagine you use your platform to say, quote, we do not block roads for personalities. We block roads for principles. We stand not above the law, but under it with everyone else. You would have changed the culture of this country in one afternoon. You will be remembered not just as an entertainer, but as a statesman, as a builder of democracy, as a citizen who used fame for the greater good. That is the true legacy available to you. Fellow Ghanaians, there is a broader lesson here, beyond Shatawali, beyond EOCO, and beyond all these Lamborghinis. It is the lesson of institutions. Either we defend them or we destroy them. Either we allow them to do their work without fear or favor, or we turn them into hollow shells, mocked by mobs, weakened by politics, and distracted by citizens. And make no mistake, once institutions are destroyed, institutions do not rise up easily again. Once citizens believe that mobs determine justice, they will never trust courts again. Once politicians believe that only numbers matter, they will never respect the Constitution. And once musicians believe that their fame will shield them, they will never respect the rule of law again. And that road only leads to chaos. That road only leads to the death of this republic. This country, Ghana, is nearly 70 years after independence. We cannot still be practicing these primitive habits. We cannot still be pretending that popularity is justice. We cannot still be defending personalities while institutions rot. We cannot still be reducing democracy into mob theater. This episode must be a turning point. Law enforcement must learn to stand firm when crowds gather to obstruct justice. Arrests must be made, not because we want to silence their voices, but because we want to protect the line, the fine line between liberty and lawlessness. Citizens must also learn to draw that line. Protests are sacred, but protest must be disciplined. It must be about governance, not gossip. It must be about liberty, not Lamborghini. And leaders, whether in politics, in entertainment, in civil society, must model responsibility. Because when they abuse their influence, they just do not damage their own reputation. They damage this republic itself. Fellow Ghanaians, in the end, this is not about Shatta Wale. It is not about EOCO. It is not about Lamborghinis or luxury cars. It is about us. It's about who we are becoming as a people and whether we still believe in the simple but profound idea that law must be no respecter of persons. Let us not throw away all that. Let us not destroy institutions for the sake of one man or one party or one celebrity. Let us not become a mob. Democracy. Let us remember that the true measure of a republic is not how it treats the powerful, but how it applies the law to all, equally, fairly, consistently. Influence is powerful. Influence can be dangerous, but influence, when guided by responsibility, can also be the seed of national renewal. The choice is ours. You and I, we have to decide. Good morning, fellow Ghanaians.